Hey, this is Lahsiv, and today we're going to be looking at the video game Her Story. So if you haven't watched or played that game, then this video is completely going to spoil that for you, because we're going to be looking at the question, what actually happened? But you already knew that. If you look the answer up online, you'll probably come across three popular theories. The first one being that there are in fact two girls, Eve and Hannah. Most of the story is completely true what they say, so Hannah ends up killing Simon, with Eve being an accomplice. The second theory is that there is only one girl who has split personality disorder and she kills Simon on her own. The third theory is that there was two girls to begin with, but when Hannah gets pregnant, Eve gets jealous, kills her, starts playing a double life, and eventually kills Simon. Now, all of these theories are well worth exploring. However, I would like to put forward a fourth theory. What if there is only one girl and she is only pretending to have split personality disorder to avoid trial? What if she made the whole backstory up?
But Lahsiv, I hear you say, why would she make up a story like that to admit she killed him? Why not make up a story to say something else happened and she was completely innocent?
That's a good question, friend. I'm glad you asked. Well, if you recall, she did originally have an alibi saying that she was in Glasgow. But when she saw that the police weren't buying this, she decided to create a backstory in attempts to avoid serious charges that come with murder. You may think this sounds a bit far-fetched, but let me introduce you to the case of the serial killer, Ken Bianchi. Ken Bianchi was facing the death penalty with an overwhelming amount of evidence against him, and he decided to create another personality called Steve Walker. Steve Walker admitted to 5 of the 6 killings, and this almost led to Bianchi being diagnosed as unfit to stand trial. Luckily, due to a small slip-up by Bianchi, the police were able to find out that Steve Walker was in fact a real person that Bianchi had previously stolen documents from for the purposes of forgery. I would like to draw some lines of similarity between the case of Bianchi and the girl in the game. Now, it is commonly believed that Bianchi almost pulled off being unfit to stand trial because he was diagnosed as a psychopath. I would also like to claim that Eve is also a psychopath. Now, I would just like to quickly say that there are lots of misconceptions about psychopaths. They are not all insane and they are not all violent. Psychopaths are people with a mental condition which prevents them from feeling guilt, remorse, and empathy. While this is useful to a criminal, it can also help save lives. But I digress. Let's get back to the theory. So, a psychopath is diagnosed by the Psychopathy Checklist Revised, or PCLR for short. But that is 20 characteristic traits long, and we only see the girl inside of an interview room, so it's difficult to assess whether or not most of these traits are true for her. However, we can assess the following few traits from the PCLR. 1. Superficial charm. 2. A gratuitous sense of self-worth. 3. A lack of remorse or guilt. 4. Callous or lack of empathy. And 5. Failure to accept responsibility for her own action. Throughout all interviews, we can see her charm as she asks the cops about their children and makes subtle jokes. Her self-worth can be seen when she keeps talking about being a princess and how her life is a fairy tale. Her lack of remorse and empathy can be seen in many places, but the final interview is the best example for me when she's talking about Hannah killing Simon. She says, "The watch. That was my touch." And she smiles as she says this. The last point is checkable because she denies having anything to do with the death of Simon for the first 6 interviews. This is 14 days of lying. So that is 5 for 5 on traits we can assess. I think that's some pretty large evidence. That's the beauty of this game. Sam Barlow, the creator, wanted to give you an experience of being a detective and solving an investigation, coming up with your own theories and conclusions. Like, you can say this theory is debunked by pointing out Eve's tattoo or Hannah's bruise. and I can debunk that debunk by saying she could have used concealer. There is no set conclusion to this game. But I think a lot of people might not actually like this theory because it says most of the info given in the game is a lie. And saying that the story is a lie is kind of like a cop-out, like it's just a dream. But my personal appreciation of theory videos comes from what I learned while watching them, and hopefully I taught you a thing or two about psychopaths. And remember, it's just a theory, so don't take it seriously. But instead, stay excellent, everybody. And as always, I'll see you next time.